When I first climbed the Blackspire Mountains, I did not expect to survive the night. The peaks were jagged like the teeth of a sleeping god, and the snow came down in knives rather than flakes. My mission was simple, or so my commander said. Scout the northern pass, mark the enemy encampment, and return before dawn. But there are no dawns in Blackspire, only storms and echoes. The wind screamed like something alive as I trudged upward, my boots sinking to the ankle with every step. Somewhere below, my unit was waiting, small fires flickering in the dark. I envied them. I envied their ignorance of what slept above the clouds. When I reached the ridge, I saw them, giants, real ones. Not the half-witted hill brutes the southern bards sing about, but beings of flesh and frost, tall as towers and twice as terrible. There were 6 of them gathered in the hollow of the mountain, their fire a pillar of blue that melted the snow for 100 yards. They wore pelts of thunderbeast and iron chains thicker than my leg. Their voices rolled through the air like distant thunder, and at the center of them sat a throne of ice. Upon it rested the giant queen. Her skin shimmered like pale moonstone, her hair flowing in silver rivers that caught the light of her fire. Eyes like storm clouds looked out over her court. Even from a distance, I felt the weight of her gaze. Ancient, sorrowful, unrelenting. I should have fled. But curiosity, always my curse, held me there. I sketched the camp in my notes, marking guard rotations, tent positions, weapon caches. The generals would be pleased. Then the sound came, a cry. Not from the giants, but something smaller, higher pitched. I crept closer, hugging the rocks until I saw them. 2 giant children, scarcely taller than a warhorse, bundled in fur and clutching stone toys. Their laughter echoed up the slope as they played near a cliff edge, throwing snowballs the size of boulders at one another. A mother's laughter, deeper but gentler, rolled from the queen's direction. She watched her offspring with that same sadness in her eyes. I didn't understand it then, but I would soon. The mountain trembled, not from the giants this time, but from below. A rumble deep and hungry. The snow cracked. The younger of the 2 children, no more than 20 feet tall, though still immense to me, lost his footing and slipped. He screamed as he fell. Without thinking, I dropped my pack and ran. Down the slope over jagged stone, ignoring the sting of ice on my face. I didn't think of what I was doing. I didn't think of the fact that this creature's finger was thicker than my entire arm. All I saw was a child plummeting into a chasm that could swallow armies whole. I reached him just as the ledge gave way. He was tangled in his fur cloak, eyes wide with terror. I leapt forward and drove my climbing pick into the rock, catching the edge of his cloak with my free hand. The weight nearly tore my arm out of its socket. "Hold still!" I screamed, though I knew he could barely hear me. Somehow, impossibly, I anchored my boots and used the rope around my waist to lash us to a jutting stone. I don't know how long I hung there. Minutes, maybe seconds. But I remember the world fading into white and the sound of my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Then, the shadows fell over me. The queen had moved. Her massive hand reached down and plucked the child from the pit as if he weighed nothing. Her other hand closed around me. I didn't even have time to scream. Her grip was strong enough to crush steel, yet she didn't. She lifted me to her face, eyes glowing with a light that was not of this world. I expected death. Instead, she spoke, a sound like glaciers grinding against stone. "You saved my son." The words were not human, but I understood them. They were spoken in the old tongue, a language I'd only seen scratched into ancient ruins. I couldn't answer. My jaw trembled too hard. She lowered me to her palm and I stood there shivering, my boots sinking into the frost of her skin. The child beside me, alive, frightened, but safe, hid behind her fingers, peeking out at me like I was the monster. The queen turned her gaze toward the horizon. "Men come to hunt us, burn us, drive us from our last refuge." I swallowed hard. I was sent to scout, not to kill. Yet you would have, if told. Her tone wasn't cruel. It was weary. The kind of weariness that only comes from centuries of loss. I wanted to lie. I wanted to say I would never harm her kin. But the truth lodged in my throat, sharp as broken ice. "Yes," I said finally. "If ordered." She studied me for a long time. Then she nodded once. "You are honest." "That is rare." The other giants gathered around, muttering in their thunderous voices. One of them, a male with scars across his chest, pointed at me. "Kill him, my queen. The little ones will return with soldiers. He cannot be trusted." The queen raised her hand for silence. He risked his life for my child. That act weighs heavier than his intent. And then softly, to me, you will come with us. We traveled deeper into the mountains, where the wind howled through crystal caverns, and the stars themselves seemed close enough to touch. The giants moved like glaciers, slow, unstoppable. I rode in a pouch at the queen's side, wrapped in furs the size of sails. Days passed. I began to see the remnants of their kingdom, collapsed towers carved from stone, bridges of ice now broken and forgotten. Once this had been a realm of giants stretching across the north. Now only a few families remained. The queen spoke little, but when she did, I listened. She told me her name, Skara of the Endless Winter, and how the wars of men had driven her kind into hiding. We lived in peace once, she said. Your ancestors came to trade iron for amber, songs for secrets. But greed grows faster than snow. Soon they wanted the mountains themselves. I thought of my own commander, of his hunger for conquest, of the way he spoke of the north as if it were a prize to be won. Shame burned in my chest. You can't stay here forever, I said one night as we camped beneath an icefall that shimmered like glass. No, Skara said, but nor can we leave. The world beyond these peaks has forgotten what mercy means. Her children slept nearby, their breaths making small avalanches of snow. I watched them, remembering the moment I caught the boy's cloak. I realized with a shiver that had I failed, I would already be a ghost. On the 6th day, the sky turned red. Flames bloomed on the horizon, the banners of men. My unit had found the path. Dozens of torches moved like fireflies through the dark, winding up the cliffs toward us. The giants saw them too. The warriors among them armed themselves with spears carved from ice and iron. The queen's eyes darkened. They will not listen to reason, she said. They come to kill what they fear. I climbed from her pouch and stood upon her palm. Then let me speak to them, Skara frowned. They will not heed a single man. Maybe not, I said. But I have to try. She looked at me for a long time, then lowered her hand. You saved my son once, she said quietly. Perhaps you will save us all. I ran down the mountain to meet my commander. Lieutenant Arlen, he called when he saw me. By the gods, we thought you were dead, I saluted, breath ragged. Sir, you must turn back. There are families here, not monsters. They mean no harm, he sneered. You've gone mad from the cold. Those beasts are the enemy. They're not beasts, I shouted. They're people. They have children. Children? He laughed. Then we'll kill them first before they grow big enough to crush our walls. Something in me broke then. The same cold that had once been outside was suddenly inside me, crawling under my skin. I drew my sword. Then you'll have to go through me. The battle that followed was chaos. I fought to delay them, to mislead them, to draw them away from the caverns. But there were too many. The mountain thundered with cannon fire and screams. When the smoke cleared, I saw Skara standing at the mouth of her cave, holding her children behind her. Arrows jutted from her arms like thorns. She looked down at the soldiers, at me, with something that was not anger but sorrow. Then she raised her hand. A wall of ice erupted from the ground, sealing the pass and burying the attackers in snow. The mountain groaned under the strain, avalanches sweeping down like white fire. When the silence returned, I was alone. I woke hours later, half buried in frost. The pass was gone. The army gone. Only the whisper of wind remained. I crawled upward through the wreckage until I found her. The queen lay against a boulder, her breath shallow. Her children clung to her arms, crying in voices that shook the mountain. You must go, she whispered to me. The others will come. You saved me, I said, choking on tears. After what my kind did, her smile was faint. You protected my children. That was enough. She reached out one last time and touched my shoulder with a finger the size of a tree. Tell them, little one. Tell them we are not monsters. And then the light in her eyes went out. I stayed in the mountains through the thaw, helping the children hide among the caves until the last storms passed. When they were strong enough, they vanished north, beyond even the maps of men. I returned to the capital months later, thinner, quieter, older. No one believed my story. They said I'd gone mad, that I'd invented the queen to justify my desertion. They stripped me of my rank. but at night when the wind howls through the streets, I sometimes hear a sound like distant thunder, like laughter echoing across the peaks, and I remember her words. Tell them we are not monsters. So I write. I tell her story and the story of her children. Perhaps one day someone will believe, and perhaps when the mountains bloom again and the snow turns to silver light, I will climb the Blackspire once more and see them watching from above.